Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show right here on SABC3. Now, it's Monday and we're talking all things relationships. Now, you may have heard of breadcrumbing, ghosting and gaslighting, and soon you may be talking about dial toning, eclipsing and even Kanye Westing. No, these are not random words I'm saying. Rather, they are the new buzzwords out on the streets about the dating phenomena, and they can explain a lot about the modern dating landscape. So today we're asking, what do 2020 dating trends say about modern relationships?
And this morning, Dr. Eve is in the building to help us discuss this important topic. And we'd love to hear your questions and comments as well. So head on over to our Facebook page, drop a comment on this post, and we will definitely engage with you live. Dr. Eve, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's always a treat to have you around.
Thank you.
I'm seeing some terms that I'm not necessarily familiar with. What are the new terms regularly coming out of the dating community?
Do we really need to get into this language? Because, you know, if you look at different magazines, it's usually coming from America. You see all these different terms, but they're constructions. And I think they're really constructions to distract us from the heaviness of dating. They're just the same types of behavior with different language which is put onto them. And I think that there's one called white clawing or something, that people hang on to the language to try and understand the messiness of current dating situation.
Yes.
Now, it's kind of got messier and messier as the years go by, and as people only date through dating apps and online dating sites, because there's very seldom opportunity to really go out and to be meeting people face to face, unfortunately. I still think it's the best way to be able to meet, if you get people to introduce you to friends and to actually go out into the world and engage and join different societies or different interest groups, and in that way have an opportunity to meet face to face for long. So the language, I just kind of want us to set it aside, because we know that the behavior is happening. Behavior which is quite harmful, which is very distracting and confusing for all of us who happen to be in the dating world. And in that way, I think also brings a lot of pain to people. So let's rather look at how are we going to manage this confusing dating situation? Because when I look at the language, all that I see is a lack of commitment. A lack of commitment, whether it's breadcrumbing, whether it's ghosting, whether it is planting,
house planting.
All of these languages, it is a lack of actually saying, I like you, and the other person mutually saying, I like you too, and let's actually meet, not just this breadcrumbing and, yeah, I like you, or yes, I'm following you, but never actually setting a time and a date to meet face to face. So the essential problem is, why are we afraid of commitment? Why are we afraid of actually meeting? So it's because we feel that there's always going to be somebody better, right? There's always going to be somebody else which is going to be better. So oftentimes what people do is that they keep a lot of open connections going.
Yes.
So you'll have a lot of like open, and I'm challenging our viewers, do you do that too? Do you have like a lot of different WhatsApp chats with a lot of different people? And it's kind of fun, because different parts of you are engaging with different parts of different people. So you might feel very excited and elevated because you're having all this excitement of having different conversations. But it gets quite messy. And it also gives each of you a sense of not being completely satisfied or fulfilled. It's not ever closing the deal. You never get to really go meet, go hang out, and begin to actually form a sense of intimacy, connection, or attachment to anyone. So I come back to the question is, why are we so afraid of attaching or committing to even just going on a date, never mind taking it any further? And I really would love people to tell us on Facebook what their situation is. Why is it that you're afraid to do that?
One of the terms I actually want to speak about is dial toning, because you said, yes, we need to go out there and make a connection. But this is also the thing. You do meet the person, and then you're so scared of this commitment, you give them your number, but you never answer their calls.
No. No,
or even messages.
Or just like read their messages. So you just leave them on dial tone. What do you think about that? And why do you think this
I think it's because it's such a fear of rejection. It's such a fear of absolutely impacting your self-esteem. So if you consider the impact on one's mental health of social media generally, and we're talking today about dating specifically, it can have really very dire consequences to you. If you're going to be in that situation where somebody's actually interested enough to say, okay, give me your number, and you never hear back from them, or they don't answer your phone as you're talking, this dial toning thing. Can you imagine what it does to your sense of self and well-being?
Yes.
That also it keeps you in limbo. You're hanging around, you're waiting all the time for the phone to ring, or you're deciding, should I answer? Maybe it's a commitment, or maybe they're not going to answer, or maybe they won't like me. So it's engendered much more sense of fear of how we are, how we feel, how we look, and loneliness. I keep coming back, as you know, I speak about that a whole lot. That feeling of loneliness, and what we do with that is that we further isolate. And the more you isolate, the more insecure you are. The more insecure you are, the less you're going to go out and socialize, the less you're going to meet people, and so the whole cycle gets set up over and over again. So I think what we should be talking about is, we know this is happening. No matter what you call it, it's happening. It's rather, how do we manage that? And how do we date in a way that it's going to be much more satisfying for all of us?
Very interesting. Thank you so much, Dr. Eve. This is the first part of our relationship talk this Monday. Make sure to stick around for the second part. What did 2020 dating trends say about modern relationships? We'd absolutely love hearing your questions and comments, so make sure to head on over on our Facebook page to drop a comment. Dr. Eve is still around, so hopefully we can engage with your questions a little later on.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
If you're still joining us, we're talking all things relationship with the relationship expert, Dr. Eve. Now, what is the terminology? How to get out there for modern dating in 2020? Dr. Eve, we are continuing the conversation, the terminology. We now established that it's the same terminology for different things. People's just using different words to explain not wanting to be committed, right?
I think so. But you know what the contradiction, the paradox of it is that what we long for the most is connection. We long to be able to have somebody or more than one in our lives, because this is the part of our brain, the social part of our brain, which is the strongest part of us. So when we're not in relationship, we kind of urged instinctively to go and find a mate to want to be with. And then we go through all of the difficulty of doing this, and then we end up saying, oh, I just want to be single. Oh, I just think I'm just... And that's like a whole new trend, as we know, towards being single and not actually saying, I'm in a relationship or I'm going to be in a committed space. It's a way of avoiding the messiness of what the dating situation is.
Yes.
But we want to connect. So we keep going back online, we keep reinstalling those dating apps, hoping that we're going to find this prince or this princess, and it's not going to be like that. So what I really would like us to do, we can go through some of the language.
Yes,
yeah,
I mean,
go ahead.
In the first part of our conversation, we established that, okay, these terms and words are to distract us from the main thing, that, you know, you need to interrogate your will to commit to someone or something. But I think it's very important to unpack these different terms, but also for you to then, you know, give us a solution based on what it is. The one that I think a lot of people can connect with is eclipsing. So this is one that, you know, when you meet someone new, you take on their hobbies, you take on their language, you take on their interests, and 45% of actually single people have admitted to doing that. What is, you know, the importance of being aware of that?
It's so swak. You know, swak is. It's so swak. It's so poisonous. It's so toxic to do that. In my day, it's called codependence. And it's just been swallowed by the other person out of a desperation to be accepted, to have a relationship. Today, to survive and to thrive in modern relationships, you need to be able to maintain your separateness, which is another one of those terms that's used, is that staying with somebody just because you don't want to be alone. That is so toxic. It's also a way of avoiding having to go through the messiness of this whole dating scene again. It's such a bad thing to do, the eclipsing.
And they compromise their own self and their self-esteem just to accommodate someone else. Yeah,
well, it's to accommodate their own fear, actually. It's to accommodate saying, I don't want to be feeling alone. I don't want to be feeling single. I don't want to have shame, and so I'm rather going to adapt myself or go into what's called people-pleasing as much as I possibly can to impress this person so that I don't have to feel the pain of being single. So it's like, what pain am I going to have? The pain of being single or the pain of losing half of myself to be accepted and be in a relationship. And that's not sustainable.
Not at all.
Not in any way, and that can even lead to kind of further along more abusive situations in a relationship. So we do want to say to our listeners, this is not a good strategy for dating, and be aware of that right from the beginning, that rather deal with what it is that's making you afraid to be alone than surrendering or being eclipsed by this person.
I want to make a bold statement and say that a lot of people is in love with the idea of being in love rather than being, in love.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, well, I think obviously, I think that it is a situation of I want to have what society tells me is an ideal situation, but I want to feel connected. I want to feel all those special things that I expect to feel in a relationship, and which one deserves to feel and must feel in a relationship. And if you're not feeling them, you shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So then it's a situation of, okay, I think I'm in love, or I'm going to get committed here, but I'm not really happy. I'm not really getting my needs met in that situation. But I'm staying because it's better than being single. And that's where the harm comes into it. It's very difficult. So we want to look at, what kind of solutions that we have. I mean, that Kanye West, in case anyone's really interested in that, that's dating a narcissist. That's when you're like really bored, and it's like, oh my goodness, when is this going to
They're talking about themselves.
Exactly, just completely compulsively self-involved, talking about themselves. You've got to step in and you've got to show your own personality right at the beginning of any kind of dating situation.
Dr. Eve, it's such a complex topic. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm looking forward to the third part of our conversation. Make sure to stick around to your Feel Good Breakfast show. This is Expresso. We're going to take a quick breather. See you after this.
It's my Feel Good Breakfast Show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show right here on SABC3. It is Monday and we're talking all things relationships. And our relationship expert, Dr. Eve, joins Expresso to discuss the dating trend, forecast and terminology for 2020 and what this indicates about modern relationship. We'd love to hear your questions and comments. So head on over to our Facebook page, drop a comment on this post and we will engage with you. Now, we do have a few comments that came through from our social media. One of them is from Hema Dasworth, but actually the post is actually as how they met their significant other. So maybe this is going to give us hope for the dating. And she says, good morning, Expresso family, arranged marriage and still so in love and happy. Okay, that's good, The next one comes in from Janty V. Banks. Good morning, team. We met through Facebook, chatting for a few years and decided to meet and give it a try, and we are still dating, 3 months anniversary. Janty, I just want to know, how did you greet the person? With what hi? Like exclamation, please let us know. The next one comes in from Bryce Aplane. I met my babe, hello, on campus library whilst I was busy cramping my notes. Being in a relationship requires you, first of all, if you do what you feel like is right, and trust is one of the most important fundamentals to a successful relationship, and never be comfortable to lose the spark intimately. Okay, we've been dating for 2 years now. And the last comment that comes through is from one of our top fans, Josephine Pickstone. She says, good morning, family. I met my significant other when I went for a night out with my friends to a pub. And there he was, flirting with me from a distance. We're together now for 25 years with 2 beautiful teenagers. So,
Josephine, which pub is this one?
Pub?
I'm just asking for a friend.
That's 25 years ago, that's how people used to meet, in a pub with friends. That's what we should be back doing again. People need to hit the streets and to feel safe. But we don't feel safe.
Face-to-face, physical interaction.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
That, yeah.
Okay, now relationships are literally based on social media. It's based on online dating.
Yeah.
And as you've mentioned, it's close yet it's far enough, to be talking to someone via social media, etc. Okay, earlier on we were unpacking different terminologies.
Yeah.
And we were trying to find solutions on how to navigate our way in the dating space.
I just want to pick up, because I like what you said, that's far enough. That's exactly what it is. We are not bold enough yet to be able to move into a pub. We're sitting like that behind a screen.
Yes.
Because it feels safer for us, because we don't have to disclose and expose ourselves to somebody else. And so we get very bold behind a screen. And then we have the huge disappointment when we meet face to face. You don't even look like the photo, or you just don't present yourself in the same way as you do online, which is why it's so essential to be able to go and meet face to face, and as soon as possible. Some of the solutions, and I really think that nothing has really changed in the world of dating. because, as I keep saying, we all want the same thing, which is to connect, which is to feel, as somebody was saying, trust and honesty and respect and commitment and passion, the sexual passion as well. We want to feel the same way. So how do we go about doing that? And my solution to that is, whether you're dating online or whether you're dating in face-to-face situation, you have to follow your same values, which is respect for self, behaving with integrity. So if I myself am never going to believe in letting people down or eclipsing or Kanye Westing or breadcrumbing or ghosting, I shouldn't be doing that in a dating situation as well. I don't want people to violate their own values and their own boundaries when they date online. Use exactly the same values, integrity, that you would in your day-to-day encounters with every person that you meet in a dating situation. I really want people to hang on to that. Use your same boundaries. Use your same gut feel, like when it feels comfortable, when it doesn't feel comfortable. And don't play games online. Don't do that. What the research is showing as well is that the more honest we are, the more disclosing we are, the easier it is for somebody to relate to you and to stick with you. If you're going to be putting up this whole pretense, and I think we spoke about it, Jamie, in the last show we did, we were talking about body positivity and how we present ourselves, and people are being much more honest and trying to present stories on Instagram which are more reflective of, actually, I'm struggling, I'm in pain, I'm having a hard time. That in that way, when you become vulnerable, people are going to be more attracted to you because they feel you're more real. And in that way, you can have a higher success in your dating world.
So
It's about vulnerable. That's my
very
big word for
profound.
2020, is being vulnerable. Being vulnerable, taking the risk, rather than putting on the guard and then finding that you're just not letting people getting close to you and you're not getting close to people. Take the chance of really showing yourself to people, whether it's online or in real life.
On that note, Dr. Eve, thank you. We always love having you because you give us words of wisdom.
Thank
but
you,
we want to
ladies.
challenge you. Go out there, you know, just put yourself out there and make sure that you connect with people. You're still locked onto your Feel Good Breakfast show.